Hey y'all, it's Bearcat again. Today's video is on my Streamlight TLR-1 HL. The HL stands for high lumen. Real quick on weapon mounted lights. Weapon lights are in a tactical situation are more useful as a blinding, or more widely used as a blinding tool. So when you come into a dark space where you've got a target or enemy that's in a structure, let's say they've been in the dark, and when you enter that space, you use a weapon mounted light to blind them. You shine that light in their eyes, and the first thing they're going to do is close their eyes, and that's going to completely mess up their, what we call in law enforcement, their OODA loop. And that's going to give you the ability to engage. So this light is an 800 lumen light, and I find it to be a little too bright for some occasions, because when you get a light that's that bright, you can actually reflect off of reflective surfaces when you shine it, and reflect back and blind you as well. Especially in law enforcement, anytime you're near a roadway, if you've ever shined a bright light like this on any type of road sign, you'll know that they're reflective, and it will reflect that light right back at you. So being that bright can be a negative, actually. But blinding is something it's very good at, being that bright. And in an open space, you can shine for a long distance. I'm not the type of person to use a light in an open area as far as flipping it on and leaving it on. That's not very tactically sound. That'll give away your position real easy. Bad guy can just shoot the light, and most of the time that light's on your weapon is going to be directly in front of your body. So if you just shoot the light, if you're at the right angle, then you're going to be shooting close to center mass. You can get kind of lucky. So I try not to use it in that. I have to remember training sometimes. It's not natural to go into a dark structure, especially, law enforcement. There's been several times in my career where I went into houses, cleared houses, and then other buildings, businesses. And it's not natural for us to be in the dark when we have an opportunity to have light. We always want light, naturally, I feel. But it's hard to stick to that whole "the darkness is your friend" type idea. It's just uncomfortable. So I have to remind myself when I go into a dark building that the dark is good, because I'm not visible. And I have to train myself to use the features on this light. So you can turn it all the way to the right and it will stay on. You can bump to the left and it won't lock into place. And you give it like a double tap, and you have a strobe feature. So what I have to remind myself to do is, like when I'm pieing off a corner, I begin pieing around like a doorway, and then when I know I'm getting close to that corner, I have to train myself to just give it a bump, flash on and off, and then move. So if I'm approaching the doorway on the right and I'm gonna pie that far corner, I'll have to pie around, give it a bump, and then readjust and move and start pieing the other direction. That's just something when you go in a dark room, you've got a really bright light, and you just have an instinct to keep it on so you can see, but it's actually more beneficial just to use it on that bump feature, bump it on and off. And that's also something in open space could be good for if you're getting engaged. And you're in the dark, you start getting engaged, you bump that light on, it does just does a couple things. When you point it in a direction from where you're taking fire and you bump it on, you do, one thing you do is you get a look at your target. Two, you've got the blinding effect. Even if they're a good distance off, this thing will still lay down some blinding light. So you get the blind target, see your target, and then by bumping and letting off, that's when you want to move and change your position, because when you bump that light on, you give away your position. It's also good though, because if you're trained to bump it on, off, then move, whoever's engaging you is going to engage at that light, and you have now moved. So they're engaging where they last laid eyes on you, which was that light. And from all they can tell, that's where you were, that's where you still are. But if you move, then you're giving them something to kind of distract them, and you can engage. So that's a good feature of it. But it's really good for searching open areas. Let's say maybe not, I wouldn't want to leave it on, okay, if I knew that there was enemy, you know, in that sector. But it can be good for doing a search, leaving it on. If you're just searching like a wooded area, again, it's instinctively to leave the light on, because we naturally don't like being in the dark. You really have to train yourself for the dark. But I've had this light for about 1.5 years, and I've been using it, this particular light. I've had no problems with it whatsoever. It takes CR123 batteries, and they hold pretty well. I've only had to change batteries about 3 times. It takes 2 of them. And you just flip this little plate up, and you have to press in here. It's got a little notch down here that's locking into place. And that's how you expose your 2 batteries. And then this little notch right here, in order to put it back together, you have to fit that little notch in first at the bottom. See how there's a gap at the top? So you stick that notch in at the top and then push in and flip that little plate back forward. You can also get pressure pads for these. You take that little Allen key off, and there's a different attachment that'll have a cord or a wire with a pressure pad on it. The mounting system, this rail right here, that's how it mounts to your rail. This little bar fits in between your rail spaces. And you've got this screw, you can loosen it or tighten it. When you get ready to take it off, you loosen that screw, and then you compress it. It's got a spring in there, and see how it slides that bar over? That allows you to detach it and attach it. So if you're attaching, you'll compress that, attach it to your rail, and then tighten it down. So there's your 2 features. You can leave it on, you can bump it, or you can double tap and get a strobe. And then actually, if you double tap over here on the bump side, I call it the bump side, heck, I don't know what the terminology is for it, but just a bump. See, bump, bump. You do that double tap, and then you get the strobe, then you can immediately flip it over, and it will lock on strobe. It's wide. It is a wide light, so it's kind of funny on slimmer guns. Let's say like a Glock 19 or a 1911. You've got a light that's wider than the frame and the slot on your gun. A Glock 21, perfect. The widths line up real well. That's not really a big deal. I like how it blends in with a thicker gun. It just, the side just kind of runs from the gun all the way down, instead of having, you know, a slim pistol and then this, you know, swelled up. See how it's a rounded surface? So there it is, 1.5 years of use. Haven't changed the batteries but a few times. It's been wet. I've had it on a gun and through a hurricane, out in the weather, getting wet, no problems. One good thing about it being so bright is when you get carbon buildup from shooting, it still shines through that carbon buildup pretty well. You still got a very bright light, even if this thing is clouded up. I do like that about it. And you can see right here, I've started recently working on stippling, just trying to learn it myself. And I've stippled that It's just got a little texture. Anything I've got that's the right type of plastic that I can practice on, I've practiced on. So I went to work on this thing, but I'm gonna keep going doing the custom stippling thing, and when I get good at it, I'll let you guys know and show you some of my work. And if anybody local needs a little stippling and doesn't want to go out and buy the tool and take the time to learn how to do it themselves, I'll be more than glad to help you out. There it is, the Streamlight TLR-1 high lumen. You should check it out if you're looking for a weapon mounted light. It's typically a pistol light, but that pressure pad attachment, I think it'd work great for a rifle light, especially this 800 lumen light. When you're shooting a rifle, you could be stretching out to a greater distance. And if you got, say, a 300 lumen light or something like that, you might not be able to eliminate the distance that you're shooting. This thing will, in a dark open space, it'll illuminate a long ways. I don't know the exact distance, but it's pretty good. I'm gonna put one with a pressure pad on my rifle. So if you're looking for a great light, these things run about 120 bucks. They're cheaper than Surefires, and I think they work just as well, if not better. And they make several different models, so check out Streamlight. Thanks for watching, guys. If it helped you out, hopefully it did. Hopefully it'll give you an idea of if you're looking for a light, what you might want. Please share my videos. That's the most important thing. Subscribe if you want to see more. You'll get notifications if you subscribe, and you won't have to check up. It'll just let you know there's something new. Keep watching. We're gonna keep making videos and trying to help you guys out. Give you something to watch if you're ever shopping for a product. Thanks a lot. Bearcat out.